pretty happy with what I got. Obviously, this definitely needed to be cleaned out. You know, there's only so much they're going to do. It becomes less cost efficient for them to have to pull everything apart like this. It takes quite a bit of time to do this. And then you got to replace the seals and all that, which even if they had done it prior, I would have pulled this completely apart anyways, because that's just what you're going to do when you buy something used like this. Even if you buy something cheap, a cheap directional control valve, it's still not a bad idea to pull it apart, to have a look at all the internals, because there's probably some nastiness in there, some possible loose particles in the casting or whatever that could dislodge and then wind up in your system. It's the whole reason why you want to try to avoid buying cheap stuff in the first place, actually, other than the simple fact that it's a poor design and it's going to have cause you things like cavitation if you're running it at peak performance. Anyways, I'd already done a little bit of disassembly. I forgot I probably should have made a video on this. This is just kind of what some of the internals look like. I pulled it all apart. That's the back cap there. That's where the spring mechanism is. I could have pulled that little C-clip off there to get that spring out of there, but it didn't really look like it was necessary. I was using my dead blow here, my rubber dead blow. Those things are worth their weight in gold. You absolutely want to get yourself. Don't use any steel on this. There was a spot recessed for me to put that center punch in there so I wouldn't damage any other components. So I pounded that through as a punch to get that spool out of there the rest of the way. If you're not too familiar with how hydraulic valves work, they basically just divert hydraulic through those passages on the internals there, depending on which way you pull that lever. You pull it one way, all the fluid goes the one way, and then you pull it the other way, all the fluid goes the other way. I'm not going to get too much into that, but it wasn't too bad. Obviously, there was a little bit of corrosion in there. Those seals were old and cruddy, so obviously they had to be replaced. They were an super oddball seal. I had to go to about 3 different places to find them. Greg's Distributors had them. Greg's Distributors came through once again, always having exactly what I need in stock every time. And they are a local Canadian company, all about Canada, super local. Try to source everything local. Great company. So now I'm pulling this apart, getting those seals out of there. Dental picks also worth their weight in gold. Need a good assortment of those, and cleaning everything really well. Cleaning all of that corrosion out of there, all that nastiness out of there. Cleaner I can keep this system. Now I'm using what do you call that? Not Scotch-Brite. I think it is. Anyways, you know what it is. I'm using that because it's, I try to avoid any emery cloth or anything like that. I don't want to scratch it up. There's probably a fine enough emery cloth you could use on that, but that might actually be better because a little bit of this does come off inside those holes. It like burrs, catches on the edges of the holes on the insides there, and then comes off in the internals. So it's a little bit of a pain in the ass to get back out of there. But it does a really good job, especially hooked up to the drill there. And, I know I'm not going to scratch anything, mar anything, and it does just a really great job. And I've got everything I need to blow it out, flush out. You see a little later on in this video. Clean it out very, very thoroughly. You do not want any of that crap going through your system, getting lodged somewhere, and piling up your motor or anything like that, right? So I remember this old timer telling me about pipe tape, and he says, because people just get so let's stop here. People get so careless and rushing and not just a little bit ahead of themselves when they're in their jobs and maybe not paying that close of attention and putting on, putting the pipe tape a little bit too far in the threads. And he says he doesn't know how many times he's pulled equipment apart and found pipe tape jammed up in a motor or piled up in a valve or something like that, right? So be a little bit more cautious. And I'm not saying don't use as much of it. I'm just saying keep it off the end, keep it out of your hydraulics, keep it on the threads where it's supposed to be. And now I'm using dental picks to clean these threads up. You could also use a tap, run a tap through there, chase those threads, but I didn't have a tap for 3/4 inch pipe thread, so I'm just running this pick through there, and just round and round we go, up and down, up and down. You know, a little bit of time it takes me to go through, do all this. Well worth the like $600 it would have cost me extra to get a comparable valve like this. Now, unfortunately, this valve does not have a pressure relief in it, built into it. So I do have to install pressure relief separately, but I was able to source one on Granger for about $150 for a 3/4 inch inline directional control valve, which you'll be able to see me install a little bit later on, once that comes. And that was just fine. That was not big of a deal. It cost me, you know, an extra hour to install, another $20 in fittings, another probably $20 hose, so another $200 in total, with the $600 or more that it saved me on getting this valve. And this valve is very heavy duty, very well built. Yeah, it is super old, it's a little cruddy, but you know, they don't build them like they used to, you know. So just cleaning threads, and you know, I'm using this reducer here, just kind of check, see what kind of progress I'm making. And this is this isn't cast, I don't believe. This is probably going to be some sort of forged steel. But another thing, if I forget to mention, you know, you're going to want thread, pipe thread. Pipe thread is kind of a trash design, so you're going to want to thread that in as far in as possible. But maybe don't do it while the steel itself is cold. Pipe thread is tapered, so you're going to want to, you know, I have cracked cast before doing a pipe thread into cast, so be kind of careful with that. There I was flushing it out, just using some hydraulic fluid, blowing it out really well, flushing it out really well, kind of showing you what the internals look like there. Now I'm doing a little bit of reassembly. So yeah, just like anytime you're doing pipe thread, if you're doing any repairs on pipe thread stuff, you're going to notice that it is so tight you need a snipe to take it off. And the reason for that is it's just trash design. It's always backing out. You're gonna see another future video here when I'm going to install this. I'm working on the bypass actually for the pressure relief valve. Some of my stuff near my filter is a little bit loose because I didn't tighten it far enough, because I was trying not to crack the bung on the frickin' return port for the hydraulic tank. So it's, you know, it's it is what it is. You got to use a pipe thread though, right? So in some spots, it's just what it is. Get it as tight as freaking possible without cracking things, you know. This stuff, this forged steel shouldn't crack, but you know, just be mindful of it, right? So putting these bolts back in and just kind of showing you here, if you ever wonder what bolts go where, just put all of the bolts in, and they should all stick out roughly the same distance. That's why you know. That's how you know if you forget where the bolts go. These bolts were different from one side to the other. It wasn't even top to bottom. It was left to right. And so you just put all your bolts in, and they should all stick out roughly the same amount. Usually be about 1/2 inch, and then that's where you know how you know which bolts go where. I don't have a lever for this yet. That's when I'm going to build that today, actually. And then I'll know for sure that this is a friction detent in the one direction. And then there we have it, in place, actually installed right now, ready for its lever. There is some of the other stuff that I was building yesterday, and that takes care of that. So we'll see you in the next video.